So, good afternoon, YWCA viewers. Today we are on Series 1, Episode 8 of The Butterfly Effect, which is sponsored by Club 1888, a YWCA volunteer program. This is an empowerment series where volunteer hosts interview inspiring women in our community. Today we have Justice Dazzle with us. So, welcome.
Hi there. So glad to be here.
Yeah, we're really excited. So let's start out with you telling us a little bit about yourself.
Well, let's see. I grew up way upstate New York. Literally more cows than people in my county. I'm from Franklin County, if you know where that is, way up on the border. It was closer to Montreal than it was to basically any other city. Had a very rural upbringing and moved down to the capital region about 10 or 12 years ago and moved out to Schenectady a little over 2 years ago. And I am an IT system administrator at BOCES up in Saratoga. So I do project and server and PC management for about 1,700 users and about 35 different systems. We have about 100 different servers, and I work on a team of 6. And I'm kind of the linchpin on the team, if you will. I've been there about a year and a half. And personally, I am also a geek, both professionally and personally, play a bunch of video games, play board games, D&D, all that type of stuff. I'm an audiophile, so I'm always grabbing new music and checking new things out. Still have a record collection, even in the 2020s. And I am the president of Schenectady Safe Space, which is a group that is working to open a Pride Center / community center here in Schenectady. We started working on that in November of 2019, had our first event in mid-February, and then the world shut down. So things have kind of been at a bit of a stall, but we are ramping things back up. We just brought on some new board members. We are completely revamping our support meeting schedule and how we're going to be doing that. And we have some really great events planned coming up, all through Zoom, obviously, because we can't really do much else right now. Yeah, so and I am a trans woman. I came out about 2 years ago, and I came out at work officially about 3 months ago, but people kind of figured it out and those types of things because I just wasn't going by my correct name and pronouns. I was using my birth name because I hadn't finished the legal stuff. But I officially came out about 3 months ago.
Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Can't be, from what I understand, it's a tough process, and gosh, you're my hero on that. That takes a lot. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go off cue here. Okay, so new music and record geek,
yeah.
What's this like the latest new music that you found?
My favorite album right now is Laura Jane Grace, who is the lead singer of Against Me, who she's also a trans woman. She's the lead singer of the punk band, and she came out about 10 years ago, and she released an album about 3 or 4 months ago called Staying Alive, I believe it is, or Stay Alive. And it's got some really great tracks on it. And it's literally her recording in the studio. They did it in less than 24 hours. She went in with an acoustic guitar, and it's just her belting her heart and soul out. And it's amazing. It's one of my favorite albums right now.
Cool. Just how to ask on that. So, when you were younger, who inspired you when you were, a younger person?
Oh, geez. It really, people that were trying to make a change and trying to make an impact. Obviously the superheroes and that type of thing when I was real young. But people that didn't care what other people thought of them because if they were willing to do the right thing. They were willing to get flack and be spoken out against, and have people, say bad things or do things to them that, most people would step away, most people would back up. And I really tried to aspire to that. But
Mhm.
for a very long time, it was really hard for me to do that because I had so much self doubt and self hatred. So I didn't think that I was worthy of taking up that mantle.
And I see you've overcome that now.
Yeah, yeah. When I came out, it really flipped everything around in every aspect of my life.
Yeah, it's a lot of personal growth, right? To get to that point where you just, I'm who I am, and you've got two choices, right? Take it
Exactly.
or leave
Yeah.
it. Yeah, yeah. So that was great. And what about a mentor? Did you have anybody that you would say, mentored you in any aspect of life?
I mean, well, currently, my manager at BOCES, Tom Coffinger, he is amazing. And he's been really mentoring me and kind of helping me to hone my skills as professionally because, I have a tendency to kind of hyper focus on things and run a little bit too far in the, and go down rabbit holes, as he calls it. So he kind of is helping me get to more of a 10,000-foot view before I leap into the situations.
Mhm.
And in the past, there are so many people that have helped me along the way, and each person has helped me and taught me the lesson that was needed at the time. And some of them I still have in my life, and some of them I don't. And but we crossed paths, and it allowed us um, to do and to grow in our own ways together and separately. And then our paths kind of split, and there have been dozens of them throughout the years. But I mean, currently, um, Tom is definitely up there, as well as, like my partner. She is amazing and really pushes me with love, to be better because of her example.
That's awesome. So you're talking about Tom, your boss. So how did you come to be in the job you are now? I know self-professed geek, but how did you find that? I mean,
I mean, so I've been on IT about 12 years now.
okay.
And so when I was younger, I was not great at following through with school and that type of thing. So I actually don't have a degree. I never finished. I tried twice or three times and failed all three times. But I had always been interested in technology because it was a puzzle to me. It was something that could work because I didn't understand how the world fit and how I fit in the world. But I could be like, well, if this is wrong, then there's going to be one of a few things that'll do it, and I can fix it and I can put it together. And it was like a math problem or a formula or a puzzle. And it was something I could understand, I could grasp. And so I started doing that very, very young. I put my first PC together at 12 years old, which would have been about 1997.
Wow.
So before even most people had internet in their house or knew what a personal computer was. And I had done that for a long time, and I was given a shot at a friend of the family's business because he had known me growing up and knew my acumen for technology. And that got me a few months, which then got me enough to get into the next one, to the next one, to the next one. And about um, almost 2 years ago now, I applied for the job at BOCES because I wasn't really happy at where I was, for a multitude of reasons, but just it just wasn't the right fit. And so I had been looking for a while, but just things weren't panning out. And I ended up randomly finding this posting, and I interviewed, and it seemed like the right fit. And way that it um, the way that it panned out was just kind of crazy because I live in Schenectady County, but it's Washington, Saratoga, Warren, Hamilton, Essex. And unless they write the job description as saying you can be out of the county, you have to get like all sorts of hoops that you have to jump through in order to actually be hired. And so I interviewed, my final interview was in the first week of April of 2019, and I didn't start until the 17th of August because of having to go through all of these civil
Yeah.
service things and all of the background checks and all that type of stuff. And when I started, I hit the ground running, and I was really able to grow and flourish because I was given enough lead to be like, you see a problem, fix it. You see something that could be done better, well, let's figure out what that better is and then implement it. And so
Wow.
I've been able to really revamp a lot of systems that, because of the nature of it, being a school, being civil service, people rotate around. They don't necessarily stay in that same position for that long. There have been too many cooks in the kitchen for a lot of things. And so it had gotten very disorganized. And one of the things that I focus on is making sure that things are streamlined, making sure that they are documented correctly, making sure that it's actually there, because the weakest form of knowledge is institutional knowledge. And so one of my big projects has been building a wiki with how all of our systems are configured, the steps to do certain things, all that type of stuff. And like, I'm constantly in there, constantly editing and fixing all that, so that way, I get hit by a bus and somebody's like, well, we got to redo it. No, because it's all written up on how it's done. So, or, I come down with COVID and I'm in bed sick for 2 weeks, I don't have to worry about it. And so, and it kind of just fell into my lap. And my manager now, Tom, we vibed right in the interview, and he could tell that I was the right fit. And he has said to me multiple times, he's got to make sure he keeps me busy because he doesn't want to lose me,
That's
which has been really
awesome.
amazing.
That is really, really great. So you're talking a little bit about, not being your exactly 100% your true self, and it takes a lot of growth personally, professionally, mentally. What kind of advice would you give your 21-year-old self? I know you're still very young. Go back a couple of years to 21.
Well, I mean, I'm not. I mean, I'm 35. So 14 years ago was a big shift for me. Honestly, I probably the advice I would say is don't believe what everyone has told you about yourself. Because for so long I allowed what my family was loving and kind and gave me everything I needed, not necessarily everything I wanted, but because of their upbringings and their lives, they inadvertently pushed some belief systems onto me that really just don't fit for me, and ended up making it a lot harder for me to come into my own and figure out who I really was, because I was told, whether it was audibly or by example, that this is who you are because this is how you look, and this is how you were born, so this is how you have to be. And so it took me a very long time to kind of unlearn that. I had to do a lot of soul searching and deep dive and righting the wrongs, because I did hurt a lot of people in a lot of ways because of my pain. Hurt people, like they say. And for a long time, I was a hurt person. And so I had to do a lot of soul searching and a lot of self-improvement in order to finally get to a place where I could stand up and I could say, I'm Justice. I am a trans woman. If you like it and you accept it, you can be in my life. If you don't, that's fine. And I had to be ready for every single person in my life to walk away. And when I finally did that, it was so freeing because I could finally truly be myself. And if people walked away, if people left, I had prepared for everyone to leave. So even if one person stuck around, then that was a bonus. because I had finally gotten to a point where I was okay in my own skin and I was okay in my own head and I was at peace in a room by myself with no distractions, no electronics, no music, no animals, no nothing, just me in a room by myself. And when that happened, my life exploded. It was kind of like a crack in the Hoover Dam. And eventually that crack reached the bottom and the water just came flooding out. And that was when I was finally able to truly feel happiness and feel and be me.
And I think that goes for it. It doesn't matter, a trans woman, a woman, a man. I mean, I think a lot of us
Mhm.
have to get to that point just to see the other side and say, I am worthy, I am loved, and this is who I am, and just so much more amplified, in your particular situation. And we're glad you're on the other side now because you got a
Me
lot of
too.
great stuff going on. I mean, you're involved in a lot. I don't know how you do it all. I mean, uh, poetry, music, starting the Schenectady Safe Space, the techie stuff, which just turning on or off a computer for some of us, is a
Well,
chore. And I'm
that gives me a job. That keeps me employed. So I am happy to work with people that just turning them on and off is a chore.
and I'm going to talk to you offline to tell me how to get this Microsoft Teams to stop popping up every time I open my laptop. So thank you. I'm just going to skip around a little bit here and ask you. So, what's an interview question no one has ever asked you yet, and what would your response be? If you have one.
Oh God, I mean, I read through these and it was really tough because, um, like I don't know what types of like like whether it's a personal question or like a where you want to go. Maybe what is the thing that makes you like tingle with anticipation and like just dive in head first. And for me, like that has always been helping people. Like my dream, even when I was a little kid, was to do something that would make a difference so that when I died, people would remember me and people would my impact wouldn't just be however long I'm alive for. There would be an effect where I could help people long after I'm gone. And now that I'm finally myself, I'm actually really able to do that because I would always start on these projects with these great dreams, and then I would never. I would just, start on it, do the first couple of steps, and then be like, well, you know what? You're going to fail anyways. So you might as well stop now before you disappoint people. And now like I've been able to see, there is a need for like Schenectady Safe Space of,
Absolutely.
of a safe place for everyone to come, and especially for, trans, non-binary, agender, people to come where they can be understood and safe and given that space, as well as a community center. Because they
Right.
really went the way of the dodo bird in the last 30, 40 years. And they aren't starting up anymore. And honestly, I think that was really the shift of when people went from it being community and it being all all for themselves. And so bringing that environment and that idea back.
That's a great. That's great, and that is something that's needed. And I mean, honestly, transforming and saying who you are and what you are. You had a family that was behind you. I just know of so many stories of people who don't have the friends and the family to help them. And this community's safe space is going to be so important to so many people. It's really needed, and it's just horror stories,
Mm-hmm.
and I applaud you. I mean, I'm just one little person here, but it's so needed, and thank you for doing that. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. So we've kind of talked about this, like what's unique to you, a talent, or what excites you, and you've got all kinds of stuff going on. No wonder you're like, I can't finish anything. You got too much happening. So many
Right.
great, so much great stuff, and it's all very um imaginative, and it's you're not the what is the word I'm looking for? Help me out here. You're
Clinical.
yes, yes. It's just all very imaginative and thoughtful and intellect behind it. And yeah, no wonder you know you've got this whole list of things you do. Tell us about the poetry. That would be like an awesome thing to hear about.
Yeah. So I started writing poetry. I was probably 18 or 19. I went to a liberal arts school, and I was going to major in literature, and I spent a lot of times with like the juniors and seniors that were doing these huge projects, and I was reading like all of these amazing works from all over the world and on all different centuries. And I started writing my own things, and it really, for a while, it was hard for me to do it because I didn't find anything like what I wrote, because it's very stream of consciousness, and it's not, like iambic pentameter or this particular type or that particular type. There are elements of all of those, but then like it switches. It might be there's a rhyme every other line, and then it switches to there's one in five, and then it's back to every other, and then it's one in three, because it's more of an essay in verse form, than it is a poem. And the only people that I've been able to really find where it's similar is like the beat poets, Kerouac and those and that generation. So it's very similar to that, and a lot of it is really about like what's just in my head, and I have found that I can't just sit down and write a poem. Like I have to wait. There's this tingling right here in my head, and I'm like, there's something there, and I don't know what it is. I don't even know what the first word is
Mhm.
until I put my pen to the paper, or until I open up my writing app, and I have no idea. And so I've written all sorts of different things, just stupid little rhymes. A year or so ago, I basically wrote, how my coming out had affected me and affected other people. I wrote one because of some friends that were really struggling. I wrote basically a letter of please don't commit suicide, is basically what the poem is. And that one is in particular has helped a few different people, just kind of reminding them that they're not alone. And so I put all of my poetry up on my website, and as well as my articles, because when things are going on in my life, I'm experiencing um, hard things, or there's something going on in the political sphere, or in the world. Sometimes I sit down and I just write, about my feelings and how it's affecting me, how it could affect other people, just to get it out. So that I don't implode,
Right.
because it's just all in there stirring, and I'm thinking these things. And so just getting them out on paper or in the world, and even if nobody ever reads them, just putting them on paper or on my website is cathartic to me, because I can move on. I've said what I needed to say, and I move on. And I very rarely ever go back and edit anything. Like whatever I write, that is the final product. I mean, sometimes I even go back and I read it and I'm like, wow, I had grammar errors or I had spelling errors. And 90% of the time, I don't even go in and edit it. I leave it the way it was, because when I wrote it, that's where I was at. I was in such a zone that like I didn't even notice, and that's something I am normally meticulous about. That I use the correct grammar, and I'm using my Oxford commas, and I'm spelling things correctly, and all of that. And I have a pretty large vocabulary, mostly because of my mother. All I remember of 8th grade is vocabulary. Like I probably did other subjects, but you couldn't prove it by me. All I remember is vocabulary. um, so and that's what I've started writing my memoirs, and that's what's made it so hard of going back and editing it, because that's not something I do. And so I've started on that. I like wrote the foreword and my introduction, and I'm now starting on my childhood. Hopefully I'll finish it. But even just writing it out, even if nobody reads it but me, or my partner, or a few close friends that are interested, that's all it is. Like if it helps somebody, amazing. But really what it is it allows me to process things in a way that I can't just by thinking about them. I need to get it out.
Got it. So you mentioned your website a couple times. You want to give us that address?
Yeah, it's justice-dazzle.com. So it's
Perfect.
just my name with a hyphen between the first and last.
Great. So we're kind of getting ready here to wrap up, but is there anything you want to tell us about yourself, about the Justice Center? The Safe Space Center. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
What is the Justice Center?
I knew what you meant, but I'm not that narcissistic.
But anyway, anything else? Jeez, I'm losing it today. Clearly not enough coffee this morning. What do you want us to know? What are the takeaways? I mean, this is your time. Take advantage of it.
I mean, the takeaways are be yourself, because one of the things that I've really realized in the last few years is that I have a finite amount of resources, and I can spend that doing what you want me to do, being who you want me to be, acting like you want me to act, saying the things you want me to say. And that is exhausting. And if I do that, I can't do the things that I want to do. I can't act the way I want to act. I can't speak the way I want to speak, and I can't be the person I want to be. And so what I really had to realize is that I have to work towards being the person that my 8-year-old self wanted me to be. And if I'm not matching up to that, if I'm doing things that she wouldn't like, that she would be like, what is wrong with you? Why are you doing this? Like, who are you? I don't even recognize you, or would run up and kick me in the shins, then I know it's not something I should be doing and I should be spending my time on. It's not a relationship I should be subjecting myself to. It's not a job that I should be pouring my heart and soul and time and limited resources into. So if it doesn't excite your soul, and it's not something your 8-year-old self would be proud of you for, let it go and pick up something that is. Because I found there are very few people that will stick around when you are a person that they don't agree with what you're doing or what you're saying, but they appreciate you as a person, and especially after I came out, there are all of these, there are these different memes and stuff, but one of them is, people that will misgender someone, especially someone in the public spotlight, like, for example, Caitlyn Jenner. I'm not going to get into all of her stuff, but, the people that will call her with male pronouns and with her dead name are the people that are not going to be healthy for me. They are not actually allies, because they see using my name and pronouns as a reward for doing what they want. And being this, this trophy. of, I'm friends with a trans person, or I'm involved with this thing, but then I do the wrong thing. I do the thing they don't like, and they will treat me that same way. And, even if you're not trans, like if you see how people are treating other people that are doing things that they may not like, maybe that's not somebody or a relationship that you want to have, because then if you're spending that time and that energy pleasing them, or if you decide not to, they're going to turn on you. So be you. And the people that draws will follow, and they will stick with you. And the ones that don't, won't. And you won't really lose that much.
Wow. It's a lot of great insight, a lot of self-introspection. And I mean, I have to say, I am just in awe of all that you've internalized and figured out. And just, if we all could do that, right? Like just imagine
Right.
how great things would be. So our time is kind of done here. This will be replayed on Facebook, and everybody
Great.
can see it. We've got all kinds of. I was looking to the side. We got all kinds of people asking all kinds of questions. So
I didn't even see those.
yeah, you've got a whole great audience out there asking questions. So yeah, just keep us involved and let us know what's going on, with the Schenectady Safe Space. And I know I personally would like to be involved. So let us know what we can do to help you.
Absolutely, yeah. And if you all want to keep involved and keep appraised, and I'll put this in the comments in the chat. Actually doesn't look like I can chat right now, but I will put it on the post on YW's page. If you go to facebook.com/SCH Safe Space, or just search Schenectady Safe Space on Facebook, that is our page. That's where we keep everything most up to date. We do have a website, schsafespace.org, but I am also the web designer for it, and I'm much more active on the Facebook one than I am on the website, just to be honest. So if you would like to check it out, like it, keep appraised, if you know anyone that is struggling or that needs help, send them our way. We have a great board of of people that are all interested and committed to making sure that that our community is safe and protected and healthy. Like if what I'm doing makes it so that one kid who is trans or gay or whatever dies of old age instead of suicide, then it's worth it.
Absolutely.
And so the more people that know about us, the more we have the opportunity to make that happen.
Well, thank you so much. And this concludes episode 8. Tune in again on Thursday for episode 9. New host, new guest. And with that, thanks everybody. Thank you, Justice.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
everybody.